What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Sweat and Iron. I am Graham, your host, and in this episode, I'm going to bring you the third and final episode of my wrestling series. In this episode, I talked to Aaron Aguilera, who was in the WWE, did Japanese wrestling, and is now a stay-at-home dad with the occasional wrestling on the weekends. It's a great closer to this series because I talked to him about his days in WWE. He wrestled with John Cena. And his wrestling story with John Cena is pretty cool. And we talk about his Japanese wrestling. We talk about what got him into wrestling. We talk about how much food he ate when he was wrestling. We talk about the time it took to train for wrestling. We get into a whole bunch of stuff. It was a great interview. I enjoyed talking to the guy. He's got so much to talk about. It was a great time. So without further ado, here's my interview with Aaron Aguilera. Enjoy the show. Let me tell you something, John. What's his wife's name? Yeah. So John was for the past about 48 hours. He has been spamming me videos of you. He's like, here's a video of him. Here's another one. Ask him about this. Ask him about that. And I got to say, I'm really excited to interview you. I know that, in our chats back and forth, you're kind of like, no, it's no big deal. But to me, it's a big deal because, and probably to a lot of the people who are going to be tuning into this later, it's a big deal because growing up, you see wrestlers on the TV and you guys are just, you're iconic. You are huge heroes, regardless of it, whether you're the good guy or the bad guy. You guys are just awesome on the TV.
Right.
And watching you, I watched little snippets here, little snippets there, and it's just so cool seeing you guys come out on that stage. And then you guys, I don't know what you guys say to each other. I guess that's going to be something that I'm going to ask you later, but I've always been curious when you guys come out on that stage, when you're walking down the ramp towards the ring, are you guys really saying stuff to one another, or are you guys making it look like you guys are having a conversation?
Well, it's pretty much at that point when you're walking on the stage, it's pretty much just you're just kind of getting ready, kind of get going to battle. You're kind of just like kind of get yourself motivated. So you're almost kind of talking to yourself more. It's geared towards them, but you're more like kind of talking to yourself, kind of talking to the fans, whether you're a good guy or bad guy. Kind of messing with them a little bit,
So a lot of yeah, we're gonna do this. We're gonna get hey, I see, exactly, yeah, oh yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
Oh my gosh. So, okay, for anybody who's wondering who we're talking to, you're listening to Aaron Aguilera, aka Jesus, aka Hardcore Kid, aka, oh my gosh, you got so many names. I'm gonna pull them up here real quick, even though you probably have them memorized. Let's go through the list here. Titles. I had it pulled up. Career highlights. I got to go over the career highlight here that I found too that was phenomenal. But he's got so many names because you weren't just in WWE. You did some. I'm thinking you did some independent wrestling there to get what they call developmental contract going, and then you got on the big show, and then you did some Japanese wrestling.
I was a Hardcore Kid. Then in WWE I was Jesus. When I was in Japan, they called me Zodiac. And I got a few names here and there.
Yes, yeah. So I'm really curious to hear where it all began. What got you what got you into wrestling to begin with?
Well, pretty much just as a kid, I think all kids kind of had that dream. I just kind of took it to the next level where I actually went to the school and learned the moves. But I can remember 6, 7 years old sneaking out of my mom's. We only had one TV in the house. So I had to sneak out of my room and go into the living room and put the volume on 0 so I could, because it used to come on Saturday nights at midnight. It was past my bedtime. So I was just a fan, I just loved it. And I was a fan. I used to practice the moves on my bed and on my couch with my with my stuffed animals, and I just loved it, man. I just loved it, and I'm just just took it, like I said, took it to the next level, and actually went to school for it.
So you actually went to school for it. How do you do that? I mean, I've heard this, but are there a lot of schools out there that teach you about wrestling, or how's that work?
Yeah, back when I started, there wasn't as many. There's more now because the sport's kind of getting it's getting more mainstream. Social media and stuff. It's getting a lot more bigger. It's getting more accepted. But back when I started, I was in the back of it was like a secret school in the back of a flea market that no one knew about. When the flea market was closed, these guys would open the chain link fence and they'd go in the back and they'd practice these moves. And I was like, I heard it from a friend of a friend. There was a place, kind of underground, they were doing it. So I went, and I mean, this was really old school. I started with the Lucha Libre school with, the Mexican style wrestling with the guys with the mask, and they were really traditionalists, really veterans. They really protected the business. They were very secretive, very low key. So they were kind of skeptical at first when I showed up, and they wouldn't really let me get in the ring. I had to do, exercises and calisthenics and running outside of the ring for about 6 months before they even let me get in the ring. Nowadays, if a guy shows up with any kind of potential, they'll put him in the ring on the first day, But,
back then you had to run through you had to go through the ringer. They had to haze you a little bit. They had to get you.
Exactly. Not so much hazing, but just kind of paying your dues and making sure you're dedicated, making sure so that's how I started, man. Just in the back of a sleazy, filthy, dirty flea market with a blood-soaked ring apron and canvas, and just doing, setting up the ring and tearing down the ring and working for free for about a year, and finally, just kind of, like you said, paying the dues.
Now these days, schools will have you pay them to train. Did you have to pay anything other than your sweat and tears?
Yeah, there's always a fee. This school wasn't as outrageous as some of the fees I've heard of, but some schools just kind of want to take your money and just kind of squat you to death and make you puke and make you quit, make you give up. And but this school was it was more, like I said, more based towards the acrobatics and the high flying and the gymnastics, kind of just the beauty of the lucha libre style wrestling. And they weren't trying to get rich off me or nothing like that. I think they kind of saw my dedication from the get go. They kind of took me aside and they kind of worked with me extra, and they kind of molded me into what I am today.
And he had to know a guy who knew a guy who was already in there, and that's how you got in.
Yeah, exactly. It always helps to know a guy, yeah.
Know a guy. So I've seen it in multiple places. You were trained by a guy named El Jefe. Am I saying that right?
Yeah, El Jefe.
El Jefe. Okay.
Yeah.
In Mexico.
Right.
One of Jefe's methods meant going into bars and starting fights with the locals. What?
Yeah, that was kind of his extreme kind of way of just kind of toughening us up. There was a couple of us that kind of had some potential and kind of stuck with it, and so they'd take us down to Mexico and down to TJ, and we'd have some wrestling matches down there with the local guys down there, and then afterwards, that was kind of our homework assignment. Kind of going in there and seeing how long we can hang and seeing if we can, if we, not necessarily looking for trouble, but if we found it, not backing down and holding our own, stepping outside and doing stuff like that. Yeah.
But not that wrestling is fake in any way, because a lot of the stuff is real. I mean, you guys are doing your own thing, but in these instances, in this training that he had you guys do, was it really, I mean, were you really knocking blows and...
A couple times it got kind of crazy in there.
Yeah.
In Mexico, there's a different set of rules, so.
Were bottles being thrown and all sorts of stuff?
Yeah, a couple bottles were thrown, some chicken bones were thrown, and
chicken bones.
Yeah, so whatever you could find.
Oh yeah. Man, anything you could find. That's scary and funny at the same time.
Right.
So let's see here. All right, so you trained in Mexico. Or around what year was that? Was it like 2000?
I would say early, about late 90s, about 98, 99, about 2000. Yeah, right around there is when I was going to, seems like I was going to Mexico a lot. Yeah.
Okay. And then at what point did you stumble along the WWF?
Yeah, there was a group of guys out in about an hour drives from me that was more American style wrestling. They had some. It was called Extreme University, and they had some really big monsters over there. And their idea was, let's get guys in that look the part, that look like pro wrestlers. Let's give them like a crash course in wrestling, and let's get them like a like a quick pipeline, real quick to the WWE. So I saw these guys, and I already kind of, they were really raw, they were really green, and I heard about those guys, and I was like, let me see if I can get in. I'm already kind of trained a little bit. Let me see if I can go take my lucha libre style over to these guys. And even though I was really super skinny at the time, I really didn't look as good as these guys. My wrestling was far superior, and it was better than a lot of the students there. So they kind of picked up on that, and they gave me a tag team partner. And we one thing led to another. They gave us a tryout match, and they liked us. They loved us, and they signed us there on the spot. They gave us what they call a developmental contract, which is kind of like the equivalent to, like, in baseball terms, like a AAA. Kind of go to their facility and train a little bit to you hone your talents and get bigger and get stronger until they got a spot for you. So it's kind of like they call it a developmental contract, kind of like a AAA type of deal.
I had a feeling that was the case, where they start you off in the minor leagues, and you get your experience, and then you get your moment to shine.
Right. Yeah. Some I mean, everyone's different. Everyone's case is different. Sometimes you got such a good name out there on the independent scene that you can just go right from independence right onto TV. Sometimes you look the part. Sometimes you got like Brock Lesnar, who already has a name for himself. He doesn't really need to go to developmental and hang out there and do that very, very long. So, but then there's some guys that are really, really super raw that they see some potential in. They're at developmental for a couple of years. So everyone's case is kind of different. All
right. So you were given a developmental contract with the WWF, and it says here you were sent to Heartland Wrestling Association.
That was, I think that's Louisville. Are you talking about Louisville? OVW in Kentucky.
Yeah. Maybe it says Les Thatchers. I don't know where that's at.
Yeah, right when I got signed, they had a couple of developmental territories, and that one right when I got signed kind of closed up a little bit, so I ended up going to their second developmental territory, which is in Louisville, Kentucky.
Okay. All right. And you were there for a few years, a couple of years?
I was there for about 6 months.
Oh, 6 months.
Yeah, I was there for about 6 months, and I got lucky. They just they were really high on a guy named Carlito. They really liked him a lot. He was a second-generation wrestler. His dad was very popular in Puerto Rico, and they just loved this guy, and they wanted to give him a sidekick. They wanted to give him a bodyguard, and nobody there was Latino. And I'm very Latino. I don't speak Spanish, but I'm half. My dad's Mexican, so I had the last name Aguilera. So I technically qualify for Latino. Spanish. But they wanted to give him like a bodyguard sidekick kind of guy. So I just got lucky. I was in the right place, right time. There was guys there that were there a lot longer than me, that were a lot better than me. They were just waiting for their time. I felt kind of bad because I was like, geez, some of these guys are a lot better than me, and here I am getting the call up. But it was this right place, right time, and they put me with Carlito as his bodyguard, and then they put us on TV with right away with a feud with John Cena. So it was a great spot to be in.
Carlito, Caribbean Cool, and his bodyguard Jesus.
Yes.
With those green pants.
Right.
Well,
they fluctuated. One day it was a different color each time. So.
Oh, okay.
You must have just had the picture with the green.
Carlito had this chain link necklace. It had like a lock on it, I think.
Yeah, well, that was actually John Cena's, and we stole it from him.
Oh, that's right. Okay, yes. Okay, so this is one of the coolest things ever. Okay, so you and Carlito had this feud with. Well, there was something before John Cena, though, right? Or what led up to the John Cena thing?
Well, what happened was when I got called up, it was Carlito and John Cena were in the feud, and I was just in the background kind of hanging out, just watching Carlito's back. But then Carlito had hurt his shoulder. He had separated his shoulder in a match right before he got into the feud with John Cena. He hurt his shoulder. So then they threw me in there to fight John Cena. So it was originally supposed to be Carlito, but like I said, right place, right time. So they put me in there with him.
And then the one video that is most well known is you taking the necklace and just wrapping it around your hand and giving him a kidney shot.
Right. Yeah. That was a cool moment. Yeah. So,
Yeah, you
the
were
way they
like,
did
oh,
that,
here we go.
the way they did that segment, the way they slowed it down and did it in slow motion. Yeah, it came out really cool. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it did. Yeah, that was one of the videos that John sent to me. He's just like, ask him about this. Ask him what led up to this. Oh my gosh, this is an amazing storyline. And I'm like, yep, this is amazing. Um, so let's see. There was so John Cena. Did you not just John Cena, but as far as all the other wrestlers, did you get to know a lot of the guys behind the scenes?
Yeah, you pretty much know everybody, and it was weird because with John Cena, I trained with him at Extreme University, um, for a long time. We were actually there for together for about a year, so I knew him really well. We had our first tryout match together, um, and they really liked both of us a lot. And it was up in Sacramento. They flew us to Sacramento for a tryout, which is really unheard of. Usually you don't get flown in for a tryout. Usually you're just in that if WWE's in that town, you kind of just go to that show.
Hmm.
But yeah, me and him were in class. I mean, we started off in the beginners class together. Then we went to the intermediate class together. Then we went to the advanced class together. We were in promo class together. So we were, yeah, we knew each other really, really well. So it was kind of, it was another ironic thing. He got called up to the main roster a lot sooner than I did. So he was there and well established for a couple of years before I actually got there for the feud. But it was kind of ironic actually ended up working with him.
Were there any other wrestlers that you knew from training?
Yeah, you pretty much. I mean, it's a small world, so you pretty much know of or heard of or got to work with somebody or you trained with somebody that's already there or been there or knows this guy or traveled with this guy or it's just such a small wrestling community. Everybody kind of knows each other. We all
Hmm.
watch. Everyone's kind of at that point you got to be a student of the game, so you're pretty much watching tapes from all over the place. You're on YouTube studying and learning moves and so we all pretty much have either been on a road trip or been on a tour or been overseas or been somewhere in the locker room, but this guy was on the card and you met him somehow, some way. So you pretty much know everybody.
So does the wrestling area basically become like a brotherhood? Like you guys are all, I mean, are you guys buds behind when the lights get turned off and the cameras get turned off? At the end of the day, do you guys walk away usually, hey, nice job, or is there really still a feud going on once those cameras are turned off?
I would say it's a little mixture of both. I mean, everybody's there is pretty professional. We know we got to get the job done. We got to get from point A to point B, and we got to make the
Hmm.
crowd happy. But not everybody gets along with everybody. I'll tell you that right now. There's a lot of there's separate locker rooms for a reason.
Hmm.
There's like I said, they're professional. We get stuff done, but there's not everybody gets along with everybody. I mean, there's some people, there's some real feuds that you're cordial, you shake hands, you respect. Of course, you respect
Sure.
them, but yeah, you don't have to go out and have beers and have dinner with the guy, but you do got to get the job done. And but there's a lot of certain
Sounds like
circles that,
it
yeah,
sounds like
people,
any other job where you
yeah,
work with somebody and you're just like, I work with you. We're here to do the thing. All right, see you later.
exactly. Yeah, you pretty much summed it up right there. Yeah.
But then you get lucky to find the really good ones that you get along with, and those are the guys that you want to get a beer with or have a steak with later.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Nice. All right, so you and Carlito go up against Cena. Well, you fight Cena because Carlito was injured, and Cena wins his title and gets revenge basically for the kidney shot and everything else, right? Because was it before the kidney shot or after the kidney shot that you stabbed him?
It was so the stabbing was before, and the kidney shot was to the stab area, which was more significant.
Okay, that's the piece that I couldn't link up,
Yeah,
and that makes total sense now. You were just like, all right, I know where to hurt you. I'll go right where I stab
exactly.
you.
Yeah. Right.
Oh man. Okay, so then he goes down like a pile of bricks, and then later on, you go up against him in was it Armageddon?
Right. So what happened was the week before I had what they call a house show, which is like a non-televised show where you just go and you kind of just it's just more like a show for the fans. It's not on TV. It's not on Raw or SmackDown or pay-per-view. It's just kind of just kind of a basic in-house show. And it was in Madison Square Garden, and I had taken a really bad fall. I was wrestling a guy named Charlie Haas, and I had jumped a lot higher on a move that you don't really necessarily need to do, but I wanted to make it look kind of cool. And I kind of darted myself on the mat, and I felt my whole left side kind of go numb, started tingling. I knew something was wrong. So got through the match, got through it, and got to the doctor, got to the X-ray, and I had a herniated disc in my neck.
Ooh.
And so I had a broken neck, basically. I needed to have surgery, but I was in the middle of this feud with John Cena. It was finally my chance. It was finally a chance to, to be on the pay-per-view, and got called up, and just the worst timing ever, pretty much just the worst timing of my life. And,
yeah, you had everything going there, and all of a sudden you got injured.
So they wanted to just kind of, they had this idea with me and Carlito and Cena. They had it planned for like a long time. It was supposed to be it was supposed to go on for like 6-8 months, and then he got hurt, and then I broke my neck. So it was pretty much, we had the pay-per-view scheduled, and I couldn't move my arm, I couldn't do anything, and I had and then to add insult to injury, on the next night when I went to wrestle, I tore my groin.
Oh.
So I had a broken neck and a torn groin, and I couldn't really walk. And I was in the middle of this feud. They wanted to take the match away, and they just kind of wanted to shit can the whole thing. And I begged them. I said, I can do the match. I pretty much just begged him to let me do the payoff match. And so I convinced him. I talked him into it. And so I couldn't really. If you watch that match, it's pretty one-sided. It's pretty lopsided. And there's a reason not too many people know about the injuries, but there's a reason why it was so lopsided, because I really couldn't do very much offense. I'm really good at taking a beating. It's probably the best thing I'm good at. So it's pretty much what I did. So yeah, I just kind of got through the match, and after that, they kind of wrote off Carlito and me, and then when got my surgery, got healed up.
And then after your surgery, they cut your contract, or was it before your surgery?
It was kind of weird. I thought for sure they would held on, because they paid $45,000 for her neck surgery, and then they released me. I thought for sure if you're going to pay that much money, you'd want to try to get a return on your investment. I mean, I know if I was a business owner, I would, if I'm paying that much, I'm going to come back and try to get my money's worth out of the guy. But yeah, it was weird. They paid for the surgery, and then they fired me. It's kind of weird, but so. Yeah, it was kind of probably the low point of my life. It was kind of really depressed, and just down in the dumps, and had the blues, and but just kind of worked my way back up, got my strength back, and then Japan called, so I had a pretty good run in Japan. So I left on a good note. It wasn't like I let that get the best of me. I kind of
sure.
Yeah. So I went to Japan, which is like the equivalent of the WWE of Japan. So I went over there and had a pretty good run for a couple of years. So that was fun.
Yeah, it sounds like I saw some of those videos. That really looks like you had a lot of good times there. Before you transitioned over to the Japanese wrestling, how did you work through your recovery from, you're going to be, I'm going to assume you were laid up for a little bit because it was a neck injury. You couldn't really do anything.
Yeah. They wanted me to just be totally immobile. So I was I just couldn't do it, So when my wife would leave the room, I was, secretly doing push-ups, behind her back, and
naughty.
Yeah, I'd go in the shower, put the shower on. I'd be doing set-ups or crunches in the shower, no one was looking, trying to get it in somehow, some way. But I couldn't sit still. So I just, one of those guys where I just have to feel like I've improved every day. I want to be able to lay down at the end of the night and say, at least I did one setup, or one, even if it's like the worst, like most busiest day ever, I want to say, at least I say I read a page of a book, or, something. Mm-hmm. I had to improve somehow, some way. And so, yeah, the doctor said he wanted me doing nothing for 6 weeks. I nodded yes, but in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, yeah, there's no way that's going to happen,
It's so hard for just about anybody who has a routine. You have a routine. You go to the gym, you're used to working out, you're used to staying in shape. You're laid up for a week, maybe 2 weeks, and all of a sudden you're just like, you're itching to get out there. You're just like, I got to do something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I would walk around the block, like numerous. I would even just walking. I would just totally walk and do stairs and just, stretch, just anything I could, just to get my body going just a little bit,
Mm-hmm. So I'm very curious what your how often did you work out at the gym? How often do you currently work out at the gym? Because how about we go to when you were in the WWE and you were doing Japanese wrestling, how often did you go to the gym?
Well, it's kind of it's pretty tough. The gym time's really it's crucial because you got to get it in. I mean, you see those guys on TV. Obviously, they're working out. You got to get it in, but you're on the road 150 days a year, and it's you got to it's just a hassle. You got to wake up in a different town. You got to go down to the lobby, find out where the nearest gym is. This is before like Uber, so you have to get a taxi or find someone with a rental car, one of your buddies, and get to the gym and come back and shower up and get changed. There's a dress code. It's such a hassle, but you got to get it in. You have to get it in, because there's just the guys know that if other guys don't work out, like and it's weird. It's like a bunch of women. Hey, did you hear so and so didn't get to the gym today? Did you hear so and so didn't work out?
Oh my God. It turns into a big gossip session.
Yeah, man. So you had to get it in. You got to work out. But it was just such a pain, especially in Japan. You get up a 15-hour flight. And it's like you're jet lagged and you're on, West Coast time and you're like 16 hours behind. You're like, oh man, last thing you want to do is go lift weights, But I don't know how to explain it. You just got to get it in. You just somehow, some way, you got to get it in. So we usually just get to the town. You find out where the gym is, and you get with a group of buddies. You get in the rental car and you go. You find the gym, and you get it in. You come back, you shower, and you go to the show.
So would you work out every day?
Not every day, but the days I noticed that it's almost like a machine. Like it was better to work out when you're on the road. You think it'd be opposite, like I'll work out when I'm at home, but it was like you're so dialed in to the the routine and just the grind that you're like working out on the road is when you kind of got your best workouts. And then when you came home, you were just kind of like trying to rest and recover. You didn't go as hard, You'd be on the road for like maybe 3-4 days out of the week. The other 3 days you're at home. So it was almost the other 3 days you're almost kind of catching up with stuff around, family and other life, and then you would kind of hit it hard on the road again,
That's got to be quite the transition, though, at first. I mean, I'm going to assume, maybe I shouldn't assume, but I would assume that you might get used to doing that. But it's got to be kind of a hardship on, you're married, you have a family, and you're gone for 4 days, home for 3.
Right.
It's got to be rough.
It is. It's very rough. You got to have a great support system that's taking care of yourself at home. It's a team effort, man. It's a team effort. Some guys they've been on the road for 20, 30 years, so they got it down. But to me, you'll never ever really get used to it. It's just it's not home. So you never truly get used to it. But you just try to make the best of it. Like I said, just try to get it in and
Keep telling yourself, I'm getting paid.
Yeah, exactly.
Get
home, pay all your bills, and you get paid. You get home, pay all your bills, and you're broke again. Got to go back on the road again.
It's so true. As soon as those bills come, it's like, where'd that money go?
Right.
All right. So how long did you spend in Japan again?
I was there for about 2 years.
You're there for 2 years.
Yeah.
And then what made you decide to stop wrestling in Japan?
It was just kind of a mutual thing. I think the Japan deal was a little bit different. You'd go for about 14 days at a time, then you'd come home for about 10. So that was really rough.
That's gotta be rough.
Yeah, when you're in the United States, when you're with WWE, you're on the road for 3, you go home for 4. So it's a lot. You're home every week. So that's a lot easier to swallow. When you were in Japan, it was like, oh man, this was like. I was there a little bit before the technology boom, so it was like you had to try to find a computer that had, and then try to find Wi-Fi and try to email your home, email your wife back home. It was kind of tough, So that was if the hotel had internet, and if they had a computer there, So yeah, like I said, you were gone for about 14, 15 days. One day was just travel there. Then there was one day to just travel back because the flight's so long. Mm-hmm. And in about 14 days, you'd have about 10 matches. So it was a pretty tough stretch there. Very, very few days off in between. You'd have a day off here and there. And then by the time you come home and get over the jet lag and unpack and then do your laundry and it's time to pack again, and you had to go back again, So mm-hmm. I was kind of ready to, I had a pretty good run. I was happy, and I had a pretty good name. I was pretty established over there, and I think they kind of saw I was getting kind of burned out. I think both parties kind of mutually kind of saw like, yeah, let's just maybe agree to split ways. You
mm-hmm.
can tell you're tired and we're getting kind of tired too. So I think it was just kind of mutually split ways. Yeah.
How does a wrestler come up with naming their maneuvers, the different moves you do? Do you do you
It's
come up
just
with it? Does somebody come up with it? How's that work?
yeah, a lot of wrestlers come up with other wrestlers' names for whatever reason. Like when you just brainstorm with a bunch of wrestlers, you just kind of come up with some cool ideas. But a lot of them come up on their own, and a lot of them just, they kind of just brainstorm and bounce ideas off each other. Go, oh, that'd be cool. Yeah, that'd be funny. That'd be cool. So,
Mhm.
so we just kind of all help each other out.
There's one maneuver that I'm really curious about. I couldn't find a video with it, and if it did, I must have missed it. But you have this move called Montezuma's Revenge.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite kind of catch lines, kind of favorite names of a move I came up with because it was great because it's got so many. I mean, it started from Mexico, which is where I'm, that's where my background was based on, from the Mexican wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
So I love the name, and then obviously what goes along with it's not good. It's upsetting, and it's everybody hates it, and it's wrong, and it's negative, and so so it was just perfect. It was just a perfect name for me for my finishing move. It was just it was great.
What exactly was the move then?
I put the guy in the corner. I got to kind of get him down somehow, some way, whether kicks or punches. I just get him down in kind of a fetal kind of position where he's just kind of worn out for a little bit. Then I jump up on the top rope and I come down and almost like a splat, almost like a full splash from the top rope, and I give him a headbutt into the groin area.
Oh.
Yeah, so it all kind of ties in a little bit,
Yeah, that would be like having Montezuma's Revenge. I mean, the feeling afterwards would be. Women always say, how come how can it hurt so bad when you guys get hit down there? It's like, okay, yeah, why don't we trade places for about 5 seconds and exactly. I'll do it to you. I try to describe it as, your whole body just, you want to curl up in a fetal position. That's how bad.
Exactly. Yeah.
So some of your moves are just really cool. You're a big fan of that top rope and jumping off of it and doing different things. You do like you did one where you grab the guy with your legs around the head and flip him. It's like a scissor flip thing.
Yeah.
You do a whole bunch of jumping and flying through the air, and the stunts you do or did were pretty cool looking.
Yeah, I tried that. That was more just because from my background in the lucha libre. That's where I started off, and I just usually guys, I'm 6'6", 250, probably 260 on those tapes, but I just never was a fan of. The reason I got interesting was the lucha libre, the cruiserweights. I just love that style of wrestling, and I just really thought the heavyweight wrestling was kind of boring. It was just a lot of punch and kicks and just a big slam. It was just kind of boring to me, and I just wanted to do something different for a guy my size. Not a lot of fans have seen a guy my size move like that. So I just kind of wanted to make my style a little different than the typical heavyweight.
Oh, it definitely wasn't typical. I mean, you're a decent sized guy. You're a pretty big guy, and here you are flying off the top of the ring, just like those little Mexican lucha libre wrestlers. You're like twice the size, maybe size and a half, and you're doing the same thing. It's phenomenal. So speaking of being a big guy, here's a good question, and don't put a lot of thought into it, because I know that once I told you that we talk about calories on this show, and I'm not expecting to know that you count calories and whatnot, but here's a question that I'm sure a lot of guys are probably wondering. How much did you eat when you were wrestling full time?
Oh man, I felt like I was eating all the time. I mean, it's funny because no matter where you went to eat, we would go to breakfast or lunch, no matter where we went. We would always get a to-go plate, and the waitress just could never figure it out. She'd always look at us like we were crazy. We were like, "Yeah, can I get a chicken and rice and vegetables, and then can I also get one to go?" She's like, "Wait, so you want? Wait, I'm sorry. So you want one now, and then you want me to put one down, and then you put it in the to-go? Yeah. Just yeah." So it was always It's just it's so hard to find good, clean food when you're on the road and you're out. Obviously, if you wake up in your hometown, you know exactly where are the best places to go to get your best protein shakes or whatever, the best food. But when you're on the road, you're in the middle of of Kentucky or something, or some random place. You're like, oh man, where am I going to get a chicken and rice right now? If the show just ended or it's midnight, I'm starving. I need protein, and I'm sick of shakes. I'm sick of these disgusting protein bars, and I just
and you don't want to go to the restaurants that have all the fried food and everything. You don't want to get diner food every night.
Only thing open is a Waffle House, and it's like you're trying to eat good, and it's like, oh man, it's tough. It was tough, but yeah, it felt like we were always eating, and of course when you get to the show, they have that's catered, so you would eat that, and then you'd always go back after your match, eat again, and then take a little Tupperware and get something to go to. So yeah, you were always eating constantly. The protein mixer, the protein shake cup, and your protein was your best friend. Yeah, you always see guys shaking those things all day long. Yeah.
So speaking of catering, how much food was catered? I'm gonna guess there was a crap ton of food.
Oh yeah, it was a big. Usually we go to the place where the WWE shows are at the arenas where the NBA guys, the NBA franchises are at, or NHL. And so those rooms back there are beautiful. They did a good job of taking care of us, and the catering was off the charts. It was very, very good stuff. Yeah, but they were always running out and bringing more plates out. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So all right, it's about. What is it, 2013-ish, 2014 when you stopped wrestling?
Yeah, well, I've never really stopped. I just slowed down. I mean, I still wrestle to this day. I just not as much as I'd like to. My phone doesn't ring as much as I'd like it to ring, but it's pretty much just smaller stuff, local stuff. Not nothing like on the scale of like WWE or Japan, but it's just not as frequently. But I still do lace them up here and there.
Okay. All right. Well, I mean, so you're not done. It's just, I guess, in quotation marks, slow down a little bit.
Yeah.
Would you?
Yeah.
So, but
still waiting for the big call. The WWE's gonna call me one of these days. Yeah, still waiting for the big call, guy.
Hey, we all have hopes and dreams, man. I'm sure it'll happen. But you've got 4 kids and a wife, and you're a stay-at-home dad, and you do the wrestling. How does that? Okay, how old are your kids? What's the age span?
Okay, so I got 8, 10, 15, and 22. So I got them pretty spread out. Luckily, the 22 can kind of help out with rides of practice and babysitting here and there when I'm in a bind. But yeah, it gets pretty chaotic over here. I'm looking at 2 calendars on the wall. I got one for March. We're already working on April already.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, is that because of sports?
Yeah, I got 3 kids in 3 different sports, so it's just kind of nuts getting them from. And then, with do you have kids too?
Yeah, I've got a daughter who is almost 6, and I got a son who's going to be turning 3 next month.
Oh, okay, yeah. So you haven't hit the science projects yet. So once you hit those, yeah, that's going to be pretty chaotic night. So yeah, we're in them. This week we're in science projects, and we got there's always something. These homework packets are just getting bigger and bigger. I don't remember doing this much homework when I was younger, but these homework packets are just ridiculous, man.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, the homework and the science projects and the practice and the baths and the showers and the dinner, and yeah, it's a full-time job.
So your wife works all day?
Yeah, she's the breadwinner.
So your wife works all day. Your kids are at school during the day. Is during the day then when you get your gym time in, or whatever else you need to do?
Pretty much just take the kids to school, and as soon as I'm the type of guy, I got to get it done in the morning. I got to get it done first thing in the morning. If I don't get it done by noon, I just won't go. I got to get it over with, because even if you do nothing all day, I just don't want to go to the gym at 4 or 5 o'clock in the night. I just don't want to get in there at that time. It's just too crazy and it's too nuts, and I
couldn't agree more. I'm totally with you on that. I prefer the gym earlier in the day when it's actually slower in there, because after 4 o'clock, it's not only does it get busy, but I find, I don't know how your gym is, but my gym tends to get filled with a lot of clowns around that time.
Yeah, totally agree. Yeah, more guys just talking and texting and just hanging out, and it's just too much chaos. Nothing's available, and I just want to get in and get out, and it makes my day go by better. I have more energy, to deal with all my kids. I have more energy. If my workout's done, I have a lot more energy to pick them up and take them and do homework and have fun. And if my workout's not done, I'm kind of irritated. I'm yelling at my kids more, and I'm in a bad mood.
Oh yeah,
Dad's in a bad mood. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So then it just sounds like right now you're at the point in your life where you're balancing anything and everything, including your gym time, your wrestling. Do you do your wrestling on weekends then,
Yeah,
or?
pretty much all the shows are either like, Friday, Saturdays, or Sundays. Yeah. So
Okay.
yeah, so that when that happens, that usually doesn't interfere too much.
Nice.
Yeah.
Are you still in contact with any of the wrestlers from
Yeah, I still talk
WWE,
to
Japan?
them. We still yeah. There's some the guys that I was with, the guys that I was on the road with. You kind of build a bond with, and the guys you travel with. So I always keep in touch with those guys, and they check on me, see how you're doing, see if everything, spirits are okay, and what your thoughts are. Everything's going good. So yeah, I still talk to some of the guys.
That's great. Yeah, it's another support system. And I've said in other episodes that when it comes to working out or finding that routine, what helps a lot is having that support system, whether it's your wife, your family, or in your case, the wrestlers that you met on the road who are like an extended part of your family, right?
Right. Exactly. Yeah. I would consider those guys like brothers. Yeah. They're like family.
That is awesome. It's so cool that you found a career that you not only was your career, but you made such tight-knit friends there that stuck with you.
Yeah.
That's just so cool to say.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, there's guys that I was with in Japan, and the funny thing is we're all over the nation, and we still just, I get a text, hey man, just want to check on you, man, see how you're doing, just want to tell you I love you, man, and just want to see where your thoughts are at, make sure your head's okay. It's cool to get stuff like that, just to people out there care. But I got guys in Wisconsin and Hawaii and Florida and Texas that we're not nowhere near me where I live, but they're still checking on me, making sure I'm okay. That's a pretty cool little brotherhood.
All right, so I'm going to ask you one last question, and I've never asked anybody this question before, so consider yourself very lucky, and this is going to be interesting. If you could do something over again in your career or before your career, would you, and what would you do?
Oh man, you're asking the wrong guy. I'm the king of what ifs, man.
Oh really?
What ifs keep me up at night, bro. I mean, I am the king of what ifs, man. If I would have
then I'm asking the right guy because I want a what if.
If I just would have went this way instead of going that way, if I would have did this instead of doing that, oh man, I'd be a millionaire. Yeah, I do that. I know I shouldn't. All my mentors and everyone I respect, my dad, everyone I tell that to, they always get disappointed. They say, man, you got to quit doing that. They know it's wrong, but I just can't, I can't get over it. There's certain things where I'm just like, man, if I just would have did this instead of doing that, who knows what would have happened,
Mm-hmm.
But I think the big one, the biggest one that sticks out is that I think I did most of my crazy cool stuff, my stunts that I did them in front of 15 people at a bowling alley, and I think that's why as soon as I got called up to WWE, I think that's why I got hurt right away, because I had so much wear and tear and so much damage on me already prior to getting to WWE. I was doing stupid, crazy stuff, at roller rinks, in front of 20 people that I shouldn't have been doing, and I should have saved that stuff to when I got to the bigger shows and the bigger paydays,
Well, how old were you when you were doing the stupid stuff, though?
Well, I'm talking about early in my career, like in 2001, 2002, 2003, I'm doing all this crazy, stupid, silly stuff, going through tables and all these crazy moves, in front of 20 people at a rodeo for $15, and I wish I would have just saved all that stuff, did more easier match, told a story, did an easier match, and then saved all the cool, crazy stuff to when I was actually getting paid big money to do that stuff that maybe I wouldn't have been, as soon as I get called up, I break my neck on my first match, So that's probably the biggest one that kind of sticks out.
I think that a lot of those stems from maybe the adrenaline rush, the hype, wouldn't you say? I mean, a lot of the wrestling career is brought on from listening to people shouting at you and cheering you on, and that just drives that adrenaline, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah. So yeah, you always taught to live in the now and be in the present and do the best you can now. So yeah, you get kind of caught up in the moment, but just hindsight's 2020. You look back and you go, man, if I just wouldn't have went through those 3 tables at one time for a free show, maybe I could have did that move later on in my career,
But you brought up a good point, though. It's never best to always live in the what if moments. I mean, it is what it is. Whatever happened, happened. And the best thing to do is just look forward and see how you can improve, right? And
Right.
I think that's what you're doing. And it sounds like you're doing a great job being a stay-at-home dad. You got 4 kids
Yeah.
and a wife who supports you. I mean, what more can you ask for?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's that's true. That's true. I mean, I know I made it a lot further than a lot of other guys. A lot of other guys didn't get nowhere near as far as I did. So I need to, need to be count my blessings and be appreciative of that. But when you reach a certain level, you just want to, you want to be champ of the world. You want to do all this stuff, and
You want to hold the
get
belt.
there. Yeah, exactly. Want to wrestle in front of 1 million people and WrestleMania. But yeah, I reached a goal that a lot of guys didn't get to. So I'm thankful and appreciative of that. So.
Well, that wraps up this interview. And I just want to tell you, Aaron, I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to me, because I know I said this at the beginning, but it was so awesome to talk to you about all of this. It's been an honor. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm glad that your people, I'm glad we get to figure this out and do it. Finally figured out this Skype thing. So if anything came out of this, I know how to do Skype now. So that's pretty cool.
There you go. Hey, I'm glad I helped you out there.
Yeah. So yeah, next time we talk, I know we didn't really talk a lot about fitness and nutrition and all that, but I'm always trying to learn and trying to grow with that area. So you can teach me too. So
Ooh,
we can talk
all
more
right.
about that stuff too.
Sounds like a plan, man.
Yeah, I'm always trying to get I'm always trying to figure out the next biggest, best workout, to push myself and, I'm always trying to, what can I get one more rep here on this one exercise, So yeah, if anything you can help me out too, I'd love to talk about that stuff too.
Hey, all I can say is that if you've got to do 10 reps in a set or 12 reps in a set and you're on number 9 or number 8, just keep telling yourself it's just 3 more. You could do it.
Right. Got it, man.
All right, Aaron. Well, thank you very much. And to the rest of you guys out there, you keep setting your goals and you keep at it.